Welcome to our channel that recreates historical photos.
Number 1. View of New Amsterdam, 1664. View of New Amsterdam offers a rare and valuable visual record of the early colonial settlement that would later become New York City. Seen from the water, the composition emphasizes the harbor as the center of economic, social, and political life in the mid-17th century. In the foreground, a large warship bearing the English flag fires its cannons, clearly symbolizing the moment when control of the Dutch colony passed to England in 1664. Smaller rowing boats and sailing vessels move steadily across the river, representing everyday trade, transport, and labor. In the background, the town of New Amsterdam appears modest and orderly, with low houses, church spires, and simple fortifications along the shoreline. The calm water, muted colors, and perspective create a balanced scene that documents daily life and a decisive historical turning point. Very number 2, a New England village in winter 1850. The painting, a New England village in winter, captures a quiet yet animated moment of everyday life in mid-19th century America. Set beneath a heavy winter sky, the village is covered in fresh snow that softens the wooden houses, barns, and fences lining the street. Townspeople move through the scene with purpose, chopping wood, leading horses, guiding sleds, and gathering in small groups, suggesting a close-knit rural community shaped by seasonal rhythms. Smoke rising from chimneys adds warmth and hints at domestic life continuing indoors. The balanced composition guides the eye from the busy foreground to the calm background, where rooftops and bare trees fade into the distance. Through careful detail and muted tones, the painting preserves a nostalgic vision of labor, cooperation, and resilience in an American village during wintertime conditions. Number 3. View of Harlem, on Manhattan Island, 1660. The painting View of Harlem on Manhattan Island presents a serene depiction of the rural landscape that once characterized northern Manhattan in the mid-17th century. The scene is dominated by calm waterways, gentle hills, and clusters of trees that frame a small Dutch settlement along the shore. Modest houses with red roofs, a church, and simple farm buildings reflect an early colonial community shaped by agriculture and river-based transport. Boats resting near the banks suggest daily movement of goods and people, while the open sky and soft light create a sense of balance and order. The distant horizon and careful perspective emphasize harmony between human settlement and nature. Through its clarity and restraint, the image documents an early stage of New York's development, capturing a peaceful moment before rapid urban growth transformed the landscape forever. Number 4. New York Harbor, 1775. The painting, New York Harbor, presents a lively and detailed view of the city's waterfront during the late 18th century, a period marked by trade, expansion, and political tension. The scene is filled with ships, small boats, and crowds of people moving across the water, emphasizing the harbor as the central artery of urban life. In the foreground, passengers sit closely together in rowboats, suggesting daily transport, social exchange, and dependence on the river. Along the shoreline, large buildings, docks, and vessels under construction reflect economic strength and maritime skill. Flags flying from ships introduce a sense of authority and national presence. The careful perspective leads the eye deep into the harbor, where the settlement gradually recedes into the landscape. Through its dense activity and structured composition, the image captures New York as a dynamic port city on the edge of historical change. Number 5. View of Charleston, South Carolina, c. 1780. The painting, View of Charleston, South Carolina, presents a calm and expansive vision of the southern colonial landscape in the late 18th century. In the foreground, 2 elegantly dressed figures rest beneath a tall palm tree, their relaxed posture suggesting leisure and refinement within a cultivated environment. The middle ground opens into gently rolling fields divided by fences, reflecting agricultural order and human control over nature. In the distance, the town of Charleston rises softly along the horizon, with church spires and buildings forming a modest yet recognizable skyline. The wide sky and subtle light create a peaceful atmosphere, emphasizing space and distance rather than dense activity. Through its balanced composition and careful detailing, the image documents Charleston as a prosperous colonial settlement, highlighting harmony between landscape, society, and emerging urban identity. Number 6. Foot of Wall Street and Ferry House, 1746. The painting. Foot of Wall Street and Ferry House presents a detailed view of early New York as a growing port city in the mid-18th century. Stone buildings with stepped gables line the waterfront, reflecting strong Dutch architectural influence that still shape the city's identity. At the center stands the Ferry House, an open wooden structure where townspeople gather, wait, and observe the steady movement along the river. Figures on horseback, pedestrians in period dress, and small boats at the water's edge suggest daily routines of trade, travel, and social exchange. The calm water mirrors the solid construction of the buildings, emphasizing stability and order. Through careful perspective and fine detail, the image documents a formative moment in New York's transformation from a colonial settlement into a structured urban center. Number 7. View of the Brick Church in New York, Rip Van Dam View, 1731. The painting view of the Brick Church in New York presents an orderly and refined image of the colonial city in the early 18th century. Centered on the Brick Church, one of New York's most important religious buildings, the composition emphasizes symmetry, stability, and civic pride. Broad streets extend outward from the church, lined with evenly spaced trees and low buildings that suggest careful urban planning. Horse-drawn carriages, pedestrians, and small groups of townspeople animate the scene, reflecting everyday social life and movement. In the background, additional churches and structures rise gently, reinforcing the city's growing importance. The clear sky and balanced perspective convey optimism and control, presenting New York as a prosperous and well-organized colonial capital. Through architectural clarity and calm activity, the image documents an early stage of urban identity and public order in the city. Number 8. The North Dutch Church, New York, in 1769. The painting, The North Dutch Church, New York, presents a dignified view of one of the city's most important religious landmarks in the late 18th century. The tall clock tower dominates the composition, symbolizing order, time, and civic authority within the growing colonial town. Surrounding streets are calm yet active, with pedestrians, carts, and horses moving through the urban space, reflecting everyday routines and commerce. Leafless trees suggest a cooler season and add a sense of realism to the scene. The church's solid masonry and symmetrical design highlight Dutch architectural influence that still shaped New York's identity. Framed by modest buildings and open streets, the structure appears both monumental and accessible. Through careful line work and balanced perspective, the image documents a moment when faith, community life, and urban development were closely connected in colonial New York. Number 9. The Old Post Office, New York, in 1775. The painting, The Old Post Office, New York, portrays a key civic landmark at the center of urban life in the late 18th century. Built of brick and crowned by a clock tower, the structure represents order, communication, and administrative authority in a growing colonial city. Its long facade lined with repeated windows emphasizes practicality and openness, allowing light to enter spaces dedicated to public service. In the street below, a horse-drawn carriage, pedestrians, and small details of daily movement suggest steady circulation of letters, news, and information. Surrounding buildings appear restrained and well-organized, reinforcing stability and civic control. The calm sky and balanced perspective create a composed atmosphere. Through careful architectural detail and everyday activity, the image documents New York as a connected city on the eve of change. Number 10. The painting view in New York, Middle Dutch and French churches, records the appearance of the young city in the mid-18th century when waterborne travel shaped daily life. Seen from the river, the composition highlights sailing vessels in the foreground, emphasizing New York's dependence on trade and maritime movement. Along the shoreline, rows of stepped gable houses reflect strong Dutch architectural traditions, while the tall church towers rise as symbols of faith, community, and civic identity. The calm water and ordered buildings convey stability and balance rather than chaos or growth. Small figures near the docks suggest routine activity and social exchange. Through its clear perspective and restrained detail, the image preserves a historical moment when New York remained compact, closely tied to European influence. It reflects an emerging colonial city,